Hey everyone, it's Jim again from Sublevel 5. My tripod got pretty messed up, so don't mind this green line at the bottom of the screen. I'm propping up my phone with a piece of Tupperware and that's the lid. So, don't mind that. Try to move it a little bit here. There we go. That's a little less now. Alright, anyways. This is a personal project of mine that's been long in the making. It actually took me even longer to decide to pull the trigger. It started out as a Romans, and I kind of added parts to the Romans, and it turned into this. This is a Obi Wan Kenobi, Star Wars, or a New Hope lightsaber. Real parts, real vintage parts. This is what Alec Guinness used in the movie. I hunted down all the parts. Well, I had a massive amount of help from friends from the RPF and Facebook groups. Actually, quite a few people helped me out with this. You know who you are. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, this whole thing is Nick's fault. Actually, most of everything is Nick's fault, but alright, moving on. He'll know what I mean. We'll start at the front, work our way to the back. Okay, the emitter, it's a balance pipe from I'm not going to use all the technical terms and names for everything, but there's a balance pipe from a British jet engine. This is probably the hardest part to find, and probably, well, one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive part. There's a very small amount of these on every engine. I think only 1 or 2 engines were ever found. I could be mistaken. I'm just going by what I think, but I could be totally wrong about that. Got to credit the guys with the RPF for finding the engines, as far as I know. But again, I could be wrong. But this is the balance pipe from the jet engine. It's being held on by the Romans. This is a Romans balance pipe adapter that I machined down to make it look more like what we see on the Death Star when Obi-Wan becomes one with the Force and his saber falls onto his robe. You get a shot. That's kind of what it looks like from what I could see. So I machined it down, polished it up, polished all the machine lines out. And moving down, this is the MK1 World War I rifle grenade. They would be fired off of Lee Enfield rifle. This part is over 100 years old, and it is in beautiful condition. My buddy Charlie helped me get that. It's really nice. This isn't the 100% variant, because the one on screen isn't stamped with the company name on there, and it's got a ridge that goes along that flare at the bottom of the wind vane. But with a lot of these parts, you got to take what you can get. This grenade is beautiful, so I grabbed it. Moving down, this is everybody knows what that is if you're in the hobby. It's a Graflex clamp, vintage Graflex clamp. We got the vintage exact bubble strip that was milled down by Troy, or Seneca on the RPF. Thanks, Troy. I was going to do it in my mill, but I was kind of terrified to chuck this up in a mill and start milling on it, so I left it up to him. He did a fantastic job. And I did this off the Chronicles photos, the Chronicles version of the saber with the aluminum tape. I did all that in the 2 small brass screws, put a little weathering on it with some Tamiya paints. And I don't know if I meant the vintage transistors. These other transistors that I've been using for my Romans builds for customers. I had it on my Romans too, but it gives it a nice touch on the Romans. They have the real transistors on there. But anyway, here we go. Moving down. This is the booster. This is the last part I received. And to be honest with you, I paid more for the booster than I did for the balance pipe. Because my balance pipe is the more accurate balance pipe is the female assembly, the large assembly. But there's also a male assembly that is machined. It's machined. The face is machined, so it looks more accurate to the original. The main difference is that this flange part, I guess you want to call it, is a little narrower and a little thinner after it's machined. But it's a real balance pipe. You can't deny it. So I was extremely lucky to find it at the price I found it at. So I jumped on it. But this was the most expensive part. I mean, the grenade was pretty close, but this was the most expensive. It's a booster from a Browning machine gun that was mainly on British Lancer bombers. It acted as a heat sink to cool down the barrel. Right now, everybody's looking for one of these, and I got extremely lucky. My phone's out of focus. There we go. It's better. I got extremely lucky, and it is in very nice condition. My buddy Andy sold this to me. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. And moving down, this is just a piece of hardware. It's a sink knob from somebody's bathroom sink. Armitage shanks. I got the cold version. I like the cold version better. I had an opportunity to get the hot, but for some reason I like the cold. But again, I got really lucky with this. My friend Rick from across the pond, he had a nice collection of these, and he gave me a really good deal on a beautiful one. Thanks, Rick. And I think this was the third vintage piece I had on the Romans. I had the clamp first, then I had the balance pipe, then I had this, and I just kind of built on the Romans, swapping out pieces. Yeah, so this was the last piece. I got my, hold on. Okay, back again. Sorry. This is the Romans booster. We're just showing how nice Romans parts are real quick. This is the Romans booster I had. Focus. There we go. And I weathered it. This was a machine finish one. I weathered it and I added the tack weld. Yeah. There we go. I added, see the tack weld right there? These are welded onto the barrel sleeve so they don't vibrate off when the machine gun is fired. I got it pretty close. I just sold this, so this is going to go off to a customer. But I got it pretty close. The only real difference is that the tops of the wind vanes are, there's more of a flat or blunt edge on the Romans. If you could see, it's got like a little bit of a width there. The vintage one, the real one, comes more to a point. But I was extremely happy to get this. I got really lucky. It kind of fell into my lap. I really didn't have to hunt for this. I really didn't have to hunt for much of it. All the parts kind of fell into my lap. I'm so fortunate with this build because people go years and years without finding the parts that I found. I guess it's good to have some good friends in the community. But there it is. The vintage real parts Obi Wan. If I come across a female balance pipe at some point, I'll swap it out. If it's not, by that time, who knows how much they're going to cost. They're probably a couple thousand right now. Unfortunately, that's the way these real parts are going. They're insanely expensive. But that's it. Oh, and talk about nerve-wracking, drilling the hole for this D-ring. Oh my God. I almost fainted a couple times trying to do that. But I got a vintage D-ring on the way. And a friend of mine possibly has identified the washer part here. Maybe. We'll see. So that there's a chance that could be vintage too. Because I don't know if I machined this one, because I've had this for a long time. I don't know if Scott gave me one. I don't know if that one's his or one that I did, but either way, it's really nice. So, there we go. The vintage Obi Wan Kenobi, A New Hope. Thanks for looking.